And that is all Candace Turner would tell us. We should tell you the 2-year-old little girl is in the custody of her father tonight. You know, they did touch on the anticipated issues: education, the war in Iraq, jobs, health care, all to woo, just 4 days out from Wisconsin's primary, additional party supporters.
So Cynthia, how are those flights looking right now? That's usually a very busy place.
Horrible. It is indeed a very busy airport. Take a look behind me. You can see a number of United jets grounded.
Meanwhile, family members of those who remain hospitalized from that crash are descending upon the 3 Atlanta hospitals tonight where victims are being treated. Fox's Deidre Dukes was at Grady Hospital, one of those hospitals where many of the 29 injured students were taken. Well, Ted, this was our first opportunity to sit down at any great length with the senator, and quite frankly, it appeared her first opportunity to just sit down in what's proven to be an intense race here for Wisconsin with rival Democratic candidate Senator Barack Obama. Now, of course, we talked policy. We talked about sexism in Washington, and we also touched on one very personal issue for the senator. Democratic presidential candidate and New York Senator Hillary Clinton kicked off a day of campaigning in Wisconsin by hitting Ms. Katie's Diner in downtown Milwaukee. ICE forced Clinton to postpone that day, so the senator sat down with us. First issue, unemployment rates among African-American men in Milwaukee. Her solution, green-collar jobs.
I could envision seeing people being trained right here in the inner city of Milwaukee, because among the things that they would do is to weatherize homes, particularly for seniors on fixed incomes, help to insulate, installing solar panels.
More on her plan for withdrawal from Iraq. She says troops will start to come home 60 days after she takes office, if elected president.
Taking troops out is dangerous, and you have to be, really focused on how to protect our troops as they withdraw. But I think you could take out 1 to 2 brigades a month and have nearly all of them out within a year.
Then to the issue of being a woman in what many still consider to be an old boys club, Capitol Hill.
The question is, how are we going to decide among the candidates who would be the best?
U.S. Marshals here in Wisconsin rounded up 1,100 fugitives in 1 week in April. You're looking at exclusive video during some of those arrests. Many of the fugitives convicted sex offenders who failed to register in Wisconsin.
For the president and Congress to recognize the fact that, we're going to be a lead agency in a huge initiative that's important to everybody, it's a huge feather in our hat.
Thursday, the president signed into law the Adam Walsh Child Protection and Safety Act, appointing U.S. Marshals to lead the roundup of unregistered sex offenders. The act was named for the 6-year-old son of America's Most Wanted host, John Walsh. The child's 1981 kidnapping and murder remains unsolved.
Those who prey on our children will be caught, prosecuted, and punished to the fullest extent of the law.
The law also adds a federal database, including DNA samples, so sex offenders cannot move from one state to another, dodging the system.
If a person does not register, it'll then be a federal felony, which gives it a little bit more teeth, a little more prison time.
The funding for more investigators is also part of the act. Wisconsin's U.S. Marshal for the Eastern District hopes that means he can add 2 or 3 deputy U.S. Marshals to his staff.
I would assign those individuals specifically for the sexual predators.
Wisconsin is ahead in this game. We already have a fugitive task force. The U.S. Marshal Service teamed up 2 years ago with the Department of Corrections and other agencies to track sex offenders here. So the U.S. Marshal says the transition will be seamless for his fugitive hunters.
They couldn't have chosen a better agency to carry the ball and to really to push this thing so it's going to be successful. I know it's going to be successful because of the tenacity of the deputies that work these cases.
Well, he's responsible for perhaps thousands of drug addicts across state lines.
Sniffing thousands of kilos of cocaine, Chris. We are talking about Henry Hoop Brown. He's a dope man. He is also this week's Wisconsin's Most Wanted.
He's a kingpin for a large drug distribution network. Henry Brown is known to be a primary drug supplier for a large Milwaukee street gang.
Henry Hoop Brown is a clean-cut looking guy who tries to pass himself off as one of the professional athletes he claims as clients.
I'd say he's upper level.
He's no baller. Cops call him a dope man.
Well, I'm the dope man, yeah, boy, wear corduroy. Money up to here, but unemployed.
The 36-year-old has no job history, but his criminal resume includes charges for guns and weapons. It's what the FBI and U.S. Marshals say he did in the summer of 2006, however, that puts this dope man on our list of Wisconsin's most wanted.
He arranged for the purchase and transportation of 10 kilos of cocaine from Chicago to Milwaukee.
That's a lot of cocaine.
That's a lot.
Investigators say until now they've been at least 1 or 2 steps behind Henry Brown. They have evidence he's moving between Milwaukee and Chicago often, and even more evidence he's still pushing drugs in the streets.
He knows he's wanted. He should be considered armed and dangerous.
Henry Brown is known to move between Milwaukee, Chicago, and Las Vegas to traffic drugs. He does have associates on Milwaukee's north side near 26th and Vine.
Got a lot of money, nothing less than a 20. Yo, you want a 5? Oh, the dope man's got plenty.
Investigators need your help dumping this dope man in prison before he can blow back into town with another supply.
If we can cut him out of supplying drugs to Milwaukee, it would be great to cut a huge chunk of the drug supply out and maybe slow these gangs down.
Anyone with information regarding the whereabouts of Henry Brown is asked to please call the U.S. Marshals 24-hour tip line. That number, 414-297-3707.